Manchester United were able to register a much-needed win over Everton at Goodison Park earlier on Saturday. Ahead of the game, there was a lot of pressure on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The Norwegian tactician saw his team crumble in a very disappointing manner against Turkish giants Istanbul Basaksehir. They were trailing 2-1 at half-time and failed to create any clear-cut scoring opportunities. Before that game, they played host to Arsenal in a 1-0 defeat, the first in many years. Mikel Arteta's side were much better than their hosts and deserved the 3 points. United played like mere passengers and did not look like a side capable of putting together meaningful offensive moves. Following convincing wins over PSG, Newcastle United and then RB Leipzig, we all thought that the club had turned a corner. And this has been a true hallmark of Solskjaer's reign at Old Trafford. The team somehow has a way of acting like one of the most unpredictable sides in football history. We don't deny the talent they have at their disposal, but how United will perform on the day is something no one can predict. For several months now, we've been listening to the "It's the United way" mantra, but at the end of the day, the team's performances don't reflect what their manager talks about so poetically at every opportunity. Manchester United's players have been very inconsistent so far this season, and this has to fall on the manager. Solskjaer is definitely running out of excuses, since every game we get the feeling that the United tactician simply chooses a formation, selects the players, and hopes that everything works out. Such a rolling of the dice manner of management is not what we've come to know as the United way, so sooner or later this has to stop. In fact, you can consider the Norwegian as one of the luckiest managers in the business right now. Every time Man United are in a spot of bother and the players turn out dull displays on a consistent basis, they somehow manage to get the right result, or results, and voila, the pressure is off the manager's shoulder. The game against Everton is a typical example of this trend. United had been abject for a good part of 10 days, but against Ancelotti's side, they turned the tide. The Red Devils conceded an early goal in the game, but led by Bruno Fernandes, ended up winning the game 3-1. Harry Maguire, who's faced some serious amount of criticism, turned in a solid display. However, you wonder if this is going to be a lasting thing given the precedent that's been set. Who's to say that United won't burst into flames again at some point in the season and end up making a relegation-destined team look like the Bayern Munich of the Premier League? This is why it wasn't a shocker at all when Mauricio Pochettino appeared in a Sky News programme and admitted that he's looking forward to working in the Premier League once again. The Argentine tactician played a big role in making Tottenham Hotspur genuine title contenders and is one of the most wanted managers in Europe today. Reportedly, the Man United management is still behind Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and are willing to give him some time to get things right. However, with a few more results like the ones in Turkey, pressure will mount on the club to sack a manager who's been an ardent supporter of Sir Alex Ferguson's footballing philosophy. United are eventually going to make a move for Pochettino one way or another, after missing out on quite a few good managers since the Fergie era. Apparently Pep Guardiola was on the radar, but the Red Devils never made their move. Similarly, Jurgen Klopp was also once a rumoured target before he joined Liverpool, and the rest was history. Now, however, United would be making a grave mistake if they miss out on Pochettino, who has a great track record when it comes to getting the best out of younger players. During his time at Southampton, the former Argentine international helped the development of the likes of Adam Lallana, Dejan Lovren, and Luke Shaw. Upon his arrival at Tottenham, he came across a club that had all the talent in the world but needed the right amount of guidance and coaching. The likes of Dele Alli and Harry Kane were potential stars of the future, and under Pochettino became big stars for club and country. Similarly, Son was always a great player, but under Pochettino he became one of the best Asian players to play in the Premier League, and the manner in which he's still going about his development, who's to say that he won't become the greatest ever? While the likes of Massimiliano Allegri and Leipzig manager Julian Nagelsmann have also been linked with the job at Old Trafford, it is clear that the United hierarchy will make the move for Pochettino if, or rather when, they decide to end Solskjaer's stay at the club. So let's run a scenario. What's going to happen once Pochettino takes over? What sort of problems will the Argentine tactician need to tackle upon his arrival? Which players are going to be in for a rude awakening? Well, to answer the first question, you can expect that Pochettino is not going to be a yes man like Solskjaer has been for Ed Woodward. The former player is going to be vocal if the management doesn't back him up. The Norwegian tactician hasn't showed his displeasure at the club's inability to sign his long-term targets, but Poch is not going to stay quiet. He'll definitely want to sign a few of the players whom he feels would improve the team, and he definitely won't be happy if he's given the same treatment as his predecessor. Many pundits believe that the club is only a few signings away from becoming a genuine title contender, but in order for that to happen, the senior management will need to start working on their negotiating skills. Rather than taking months to sign a player only to see him stay or choose a different destination, Ed Woodward and Matt Judge will be under pressure from Poch. The Argentine will be breathing down their necks, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, that's only one part of the deal. Once he arrives, Pochettino will inherit a lot of problems left for him by the previous managers. He will not only develop a group of players who've been inconsistent, but also a group of players who require the right mentality and serious coaching to maximise their potential. The team's defensive issues are the stuff of legend now. Harry Maguire arrived from Leicester for a lot of money, but the England international has failed to become the proper leader at the back. Victor Lindelöf is a mediocre defender at best, and is always a few mistakes away from making his team face the consequences. Eric Bailly is too erratic and injury-prone to be relied upon, while you can't expect Axel Tuanzebe to come with the goods on a regular basis at this stage in his career. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a highly talented fullback and offers great defensive attributes. However, the youngster's offensive attributes are clearly lacking, and he has a lot of work to do in order to become an enterprising fullback, something all of the top teams in the Premier League have. This is why the former Crystal Palace fullback is not a first-choice starter for the England national side. For now, the arrival of Alex Telles has added some depth down the left flank. The Brazilian is a marauding fullback who's fairly solid in both defence and offence. He's definitely going to provide good competition for Luke Shaw, who's been good so far this season and has also shown great versatility as a left-sided centre-back in a three-man defence. However, Pochettino would like to have at least one full-back and a centre-back once he arrives. The Argentine would be expecting the club to come good on their interest in Deo Upamecano, who is definitely one of the best young defenders in Europe. Pochettino will also be forced into making a decision on Paul Pogba. The France international's contract expires in 2022, and he hasn't really set the world alight ever since he arrived at Old Trafford. Granted, there have been problems with the player and his agent, but we all know that Pogba can be a frightening talent on his day. And this is where the whole issue lies. Will Pochettino be happy with a player who's too inconsistent and erratic to be relied upon in big games? And would any incoming manager want to deal with a player who does tend to carry a lot of baggage? The captaincy dilemma is going to be another situation that'll need to be dealt with. While Maguire is the first team captain, the centre-back hasn't really shown great leadership. Bruno Fernandes has been leading the team from the front since day one and is a natural leader. Giving him the armband on a permanent basis might be the way forward. Up front, Manchester United are relying upon Anthony Martial in the number 9 role. The Frenchman is a very talented individual, but in many match situations his attributes aren't suited to such a role. Edinson Cavani was signed as a backup option, and the Uruguayan is slowly working his way back to full match fitness after being on the sidelines for many months. But the veteran forward is not the long-term solution, and Poch might want the team to spend big on a player who can give at least 5 to 6 years of good performances. Erling Haaland was on the verge of joining United, but then decided to sign for Borussia Dortmund. Maybe United could go for him once again. Down the right flank, Jadon Sancho was the preferred option. However, with Facundo Peistri already signed and Armand Traoré on his way, Pochettino might want to give the two youngsters more chances and spending the money elsewhere on the transfer market. As things stand, it appears that United are already out of the title race. Their performances have been shoddy to say the least, and Solskjaer looks like a manager who's completely out of his depth. The Norwegian has the club's best interest at heart, but doesn't really look like the solution. Pochettino, on the other hand, has extensive experience and has proven capable when it comes to dealing with big-name players. While it might not happen eventually, a time will come when the Red Devils hierarchy will approach the former Tottenham boss. Who knows, United might have a new manager at the dugout by the end of this year.